3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, and welcome back to ESA Winter 2021. We are raising money for Alzheimer Foundation, and you may find all the links to donate below the stream. We also really would like to thank our sponsors Koei Tecmo Europe and Neo 2 The Complete Edition, as well as Twitch and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. Now, it's time for Metal Gear Ghost Babel 80%, so now, CDOSKEZ, take it away.
Hello, yeah, we're gonna play some Metal Gear Ghost Babel. I'm joined today by Bad Humans to do some commentary.
Hello.
We're a little bit late because of tech issues, so I'm gonna get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So, what is this game? This game is, in the West, called Metal Gear Solid for the Game Boy, because Konami Europe saw that Metal Gear Solid did really well, and they were like, what if family-friendly, except also include murder, smoking, various questionable topics for young people. And we ended up with this fantastic little handheld Metal Gear game. This first stage here is going to be a pretty simple little thing. It takes about 35 seconds in-game time. We time this game on the leaderboard via in-game rather than RTA because the in-game timer is really good and there are some things we do to confuse it to make it think that we're better than we are. But for now it's just running and movement and trying not to get seen by a million different guards.
You'll notice we're running the Japanese version. That really doesn't play with the time, but it helps us move along through the codecs much faster.
The English version compared to the Japanese version, you save about 5 minutes RTA on the Japanese version because of text boxes and text speeds and stuff, and that just means that we don't have to sit around for quite as long to finish the run. That's stage 1 done. Now we're going to get the obligatory Metal Gear after the first mission title sequence, because it is a Metal Gear game. And like, seeing as this was published on the Game Boy Color, it's really quite amazing how much content it has. Here's a fun piece of trivia that I've prepared. The game starts with a 15-minute cutscene where Colonel Campbell convinces Solid Snake of Metal Gear 1 fame to come back to action to begin the story of the game, which we will get to shortly. But for now, there's a security camera that's not going to see us because we are sneaky.
By the way, the first Metal Gear game to have multiplayer.
Yes. 180 extra and VR missions. It's got multiplayer. If you're playing on the European or Japanese version after your first playthrough, you get a radio play that you can access one episode of in each stage, of which there are 13, and that sounds like a lot, but some of these stages are less than a minute. This is the first interesting tech, a punch buffer. I punch once, because it is a known length of time in which we can delay our movement just enough to get around guards and hazards and perils and stuff. Also, this is a Metal Gear game and I just got an alert. Why for is that? We're playing any %, which doesn't matter if you get alerts or how many rations you use or how many guards you take out. All that matters is finish the game as fast as you can. And to that end, we're also playing on easy, because finish the game as fast as you can, and I am not very good at video games.
You'll also notice that Kaz is running diagonally up against surfaces. That confuses the AI. They don't know what to do. They don't know whether to hit you with melee or to shoot you, and their aim is a bit off. That's why you'll see us running diagonally across surfaces, just to make things easier for us to escape getting beaten up.
Yeah, there's a section in a future stage where we will be running basically...
Okay, real quick, can you maybe unmute your mic in OBS yourself, and then that we have all the audio coming through your stream?
Yes, give me 1 second here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we've just picked up a key card there, which is important for opening doors. The importance of keycards in this game is pretty good in that in previous Metal Gear games you'd have like 5 or 6 rattling around your inventory and then you'd have to equip a specific card for a specific door. In this game they stack, so you only ever need to have one key card equipped, or as we will find out later on, we won't actually need any key cards equipped for certain doors because of the way alerts work in this game. And that is the end of stage 2. Next up we have everybody's favourite thing, the sewer level. We're going to attempt to do a skip that Bad Humans will explain for me because I need to concentrate on it, wherein there are waves and we have to attempt to not get hit by said waves.
Yes, the wave skip. You really want to skip 2 waves, but even if we skip 1 wave, that's pretty good in itself. A couple of ways to do it. A couple of us runners do it a different way. Some of us use the radar, some of us use sound. Some of us will be using a punch buffer so we can get there at the exact same time the wave is crossing the screen as we're crossing it, thus nullifying any sort of damage or any sort of fallback. Kaz, I think, will be using the punch buffer strat, getting past the first wave, and then what you want to do is run all the way up towards the structure and make sure you are able to be safe from the second wave. But even if we get hit from the second wave, that's fine. We'll just hold on to a ladder and proceed as usual.
With all that explained, if our lovely donation reader would like to read out 1 or 2, then that would be perfectly fine and lovely.
Well, indeed, I can. I would like to remind everyone that once again, ESA Winter 2021 is benefiting Alzheimer Foundation. And one important role that this organization has is to be an important research financier in the work of beating Alzheimer's disease. And in the absence of effective medicines, it is important to research the best preventive measures for Alzheimer's disease. And in that sense, once again, every donation counts. And so I want to thank everyone who has donated so far in this event. You're all amazing. Thank you.
So as you could see there, I didn't get the skip the first time, as has been happening a lot recently, but I got it the second time, and we got the second wave skip, which is absolutely fantastic. I've not seen that happen in far too long.
You could also pick up the box here, but I think we'll be picking up the box on a later stage, just to make things easier for us and faster.
Yeah, if you're playing this game on higher difficulties, or if you're going for like the ultimate big boy stealth rank, getting the box early can be very useful to help navigate guards and security cameras, but in this difficulty, on this category, we only really need it for the stage in which we can pick it up in the future, so we generally don't tend to worry about it.
Excuse me to interrupt, just wanted to know if apparently you could just slightly lower the volume of the game. Here apparently that's needed.
I unfortunately cannot lower the volume of the game independently, as we are.
Alright, no worries. Cheers.
So that filled with poison. We don't get an opportunity to pick up the gas mask for this rune until after it happens. Truly a game that doesn't give you the resources you need until you prove that you don't need them. But we know the route through there. On the way in, I took the alert because it's faster. On the way out, I punched out that guard, because otherwise our alert status would persist until here, and we would have to wait even longer to get in this elevator, which is quite a waste of time.
You will always also notice that we did a punch buffer before exiting the door. Certain doors that require key cards have a second before they open up, and if you try to walk through the door too quickly before the door opens up, you put your back up against an invisible door. That's why we do a little punch buffer to give us that time for the door to open up and for us to safely pass through without putting our backs against it. Same with the elevator too.
Yeah, and similarly, with the elevators, they don't move, quote unquote, until the door closing animation is finished. For some reason, you can pause the game just after you hit the elevator move button, and the elevator doors closing will continue to play, meaning that we can save ourselves about half a second per elevator ride, but with the sheer number of elevator rides we take in this game, it adds up quite a lot. And now we have a exposition dump. So the story of this game is we are Solid Snake, 7 years after the Outer Heaven incident of Metal Gear 1. We're living in Alaska, living our best life, and the people of Gindra, a fictional country in Africa, have hijacked a Metal Gear known as Metal Gear Gander with the help of a US mercenary group called the Black Chamber, basically to try and get America to leave them alone and recognise the sovereignty of their nation. So Snake has been called back in to sort this all out because it's what he does best. And spoiler warning, Galuade Fort, which is what we are currently within, is built on the remains of Outer Heaven, so there may be aspects of the layout of the game towards the end game that are recognisable to anybody who is a particularly big fan of the series. With all that said, this next section is basically following the footsteps of our blonde friend Chris Jenner there, with not a lot interesting happening, so if there are any donations that our lovely donation reader would like to read out, then that would be grand.
Absolutely, thank you very much. I would like to use this opportunity to remind that right after this run, we'll be having the Tail Concerto incentive coming up, which is specifically the Resaca Boss Softlock. We currently still have $200 left before meeting this incentive, and I know we can reach it. And I dare say it's a very interesting one, as it will be about crashing the game because of being too fast, and I didn't know there was such a thing as being too fast in a speedrun. So let's reach it, everyone. And plus, we're almost getting nearer and nearer 30k, so let's reach it.
Yes. There's going to be an interesting piece of movement coming up, I believe in the room after this, wherein we're going to punch out a guard that we could easily sneak around. And the reason why we do that is it will set us up on a cycle with a guard at the end of the room, such that you will think we will get caught, and we will not. There are other ways of timing this, but I find that that's just the easiest. You may also recognise this room as one we came through in the last stage. This game likes to reuse its level design in various different contexts, which is quite fun. It gives it more of that interconnected map feel that MGS 1 and 2 have, which is always nice. This game, despite being a 2D top-down thing, really does feel a lot like a Metal Gear Solid game. And I implore you to have a look if you are interested. So right now we're like I say, following our friend Chris Jenner outside, we will come up to an interesting door puzzle. How you are supposed to ever work out the code for this door puzzle is completely beyond me, but there will be 4 buttons controlling 5 doors, I think it is. The solution for the puzzle will be dictated by the button that we see the guard press. And the only way I know what the solutions will be is because of the Metal Gear Speedrunners wiki and having a note of it on my phone for when I do runs. Otherwise it's not a lot of fun. I walked one of my friends through a casual playthrough of this game and they could not get it sorted. So Chris is going to go north to the barracks and we're going to go east to the barracks, because that's how things work in this game. Sometimes north is east and west is Thursday.
We will be also seeing dogs, which usually are run killers. We should be okay with this difficulty, but you should not underestimate any canine in any video game, because they are very vicious.
So the code for this door will be 1232. But yeah, the dogs are horrible. They can cause an awful lot of problems if you're not sure how to deal with them. I think in learning this run, how to deal with the dogs is probably the biggest issue I had.
If they're running diagonally, they're harmless. But once they set up on some sort of perpendicular grid, they are scary. They leap dozens of feet just to get a nimble on Snake's ankles.
And they can hit you from the next postcode. Their hitbox is ridiculously wide. We're sneaking around those birds because I don't want to alert that guard. So yeah, these are the dogs. I'm going to punch this one in the face, which I got wrong, and now my only contribution to the world of speedrunning, the line we take through that room, which weirdly is only really that applicable in easy and in very hard. In most other difficulties, that room is different and has fewer guards. We're also picking up grenades, because as you can see these boomerangs flying all over the screen. We have a boss fight coming up. And if you couldn't guess from the boomerangs, it is with an Australian man, who, fun fact, according to canon and lore, as laid out by the video game and the official strategy guide, has really long legs.
That's true. Grenades are an essential weapon in this game because they're mostly used for a lot of the boss fights. And so it's essential for us to hold on to as many grenades as we possibly can and not waste many.
Yes, I'm also picking up a couple of rations on PB attempts and stuff. I usually wouldn't. I do apologise for the cough. But I want to make this as marathon safe as possible, so just in case, you know, something goes wrong or we end up dying at a really inconvenient moment, I like to have an extra couple of rations, just to make sure things go as smoothly as possible. And if we get really good RNG later on in the game, it really doesn't matter whether we stop to pick up these rations or not, so... But yeah, this is our boy, Slasher Hawk, the Australian with boomerangs and a hawk. His iframes last about 3 seconds, so I'm going to throw a grenade, try and count to 3 whilst talking, and then throw another grenade. And this will continue until the halfway point, where his hawk will start attacking us. He will monologue about something.
He has 2 types of boomerangs. The red one will go in straight lines or slants or so forth, but the green one will zigzag, and you're mostly safe up on the left or on the left side, but it's the bird that you really have to watch out for, especially in higher difficulties.
that is that boss completed.
With a good amount of grenades too at the end.
Yeah, as Bad Human said, we need a lot of grenades later on in the run for various bosses, most notably the Metal Gear fight, because they're not very good at being punched. We also need them for a skip in the next stage, where there is a room about which we are supposed to get thermal goggles so that we can see lasers coming out of laser emitters. If you break the laser at all, it releases poisonous gas into the room and locks the doors, which is less than ideal in terms of getting anything done. So we will blow ourselves up in that room to manipulate the laser RNG to a known value that will allow us to use strategic punch buffers, smoke and mirrors to get through them in the dark without having to pick up those thermal goggles. I also just picked up the yellow box, and if you are keeping track at home, there is a tier list of boxes in this game, and yellow is top tier. And we will equip it now. Look at this little box, it's so yellow. The other boxes we'll be picking up are blue box, which is second best, and red box, which is trash tier. There are reasons for this. Most of them involve how garish the red box is. It's blinding. It's so red. But for now, we will continue around these conveyor belts. As you can see, these sorting boxes we're going through have different coloured lights on top. Those will correspond to the various colours of boxes we can pick up along the way. And we will have to change, sometimes without an awful lot of notice, into a new colour of box to get to where we need to be, otherwise it'll either dump us right back to the beginning of this section, or it'll put us somewhere else on the map that I have probably never seen. But luckily when we get the blue box it makes everything a lot shorter. But that is our first trip through there. We're going to hold up and right there to pick up the red box, and then down and left in order to pick up these grenades, and the next room is the only room in this entire game that actually makes me nervous. Movement here is very precise. This guard, if you're not fast, can see you, and it will make everything else just a bit of a pain. Luckily, guards will overlook you if you're wearing a box, so on that grate there, I caught the guard's attention with a little bit of noise, stopped, waited for him to walk past me, and then continued. So now, inside of this elevator, whilst it's moving so as to not cause alerts, we're going to throw 2 grenades at ourselves because it seems like a good thing to do.
Right, it's because we're going to lower our HP, and that way it's easier for us to kill ourselves within that dark laser room that Kaz mentioned earlier.
Yes, because the basis of that skip is we kill ourselves, and as I have found out, it's actually important that it be us that kills us in that room to set up the RNG properly. If we just threw like 1 grenade and waited for the room to fill up with gas and then kill us, the RNG would not be where we want it to be and would make the skip basically impossible. Luckily, when we do die in this upcoming room, it will set a continue point at the beginning of that room, so trying again won't be that time consuming, but obviously us wanting to go speedy fast zoom, we need it to be as little time as possible. I've also equipped my assault rifle, and this is an important thing. In the next room even, there is a camera. We fire the gun once, the camera will not see us. I'm not entirely sure why this works, but it's a very useful piece of tech to be able to skim by unseen when taking a more stealthy route would be a lot longer, and I don't know why I paused there. I'm jumping the gun.
The cam shot, as it's known as, was discovered by Rapid Flower Power, where the camera range doesn't seem to work when you shoot a unsuppressed firearm in the same room that there's a camera. I wouldn't suggest running towards a camera because you can still get caught, but you can go underneath it, which you couldn't do before if you shot your firearm. You got to make sure it's unsuppressed, because if you shot your suppressed 5.7, it just wouldn't work.
Yes.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely, thank you. We've got $25 from Zebulun saying, "Hey Kaz, your moderator named Zebu here. Wishing you well on your run. Let's go." And thank you for a $25 donation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Zebu. So, as a demonstration there of how not to do this stage, I missed the chance to change into the red box. It's okay. Luckily, I knew the way back to the main room without having to go through basements and elevators and all of that kind of stuff. But as you can see, this game can be quite harsh on you if you make a mistake. But that's okay.
If you had all three boxes and you chose the color that wasn't displayed on the structure itself, you'd be reset from the very beginning. So that's always a good strat, just in case you do get lost.
Yeah, if you know sort of how to reset this section, even if you're like fairly sure you know where you're going, it can be useful to know how to reset the conveyor to the beginning, just to avoid time losses. But now we have Box, which means that we have everything we need to do the dark room skip, and then we will have everything that we will need to finish the stage, which will be a lot of fun. We will blow up a wall, and it will be enjoyable.
I believe we also picked up some stun grenades, right?
Yes, I'm picking up a couple of packs of stun grenades that will be used throughout the run, because of how the alert system works. Also, I'm just gonna get that guard out of my way. So in this game, as I said, keycards stack, so you only ever actually need one equipped, like in the 3D Metal Gear games. Additionally, if there is an alert whilst you have a keycard that can open a door, so say we come up to a level 3 door, and we have the level 3 keycard, but for whatever reason we don't want to equip our level 3 card, we can cause an alert using stun grenades, and that will open the door for us. And this is something that we're going to take a lot of advantage of over the course of the run, but especially in the next stage, because we will be doing the whole thing in thermal goggles. If we take the thermal goggles off, everything will be pitch black. We will only be able to see Snake, and that makes things awfully difficult to navigate. This yellow box. One thing that's really annoying that I don't think people talk about enough when speedrunning or streaming and you wear glasses. If you wear the glasses, it pinches on the side of your head and you can't, like, you get a headache, and if you take your glasses off you can't see anything. So that's a lot of fun. So this is the dark room we were talking about, coming up right here. I'm going to punch out one guard and then we'll show you some magic. Everybody likes a magic trick. This guard can be done. So this room in here, as you can see, pitch black. Going to run into this corner and blow myself up. This is intentional. So we're going to run out of this room, run directly back in, run under the first pillar, and then we're going to punch buffer 7 times. It's not... I got that timing wrong, I should stop talking. Yeah, that's the general gist of it. We use punch buffers to time our gaps between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1, 2, and you're out. the power of the punch buffer. It's an incredible tool to have in our arsenal.
You have to be, your punches have to be in the same speed, because sometimes it's 7 punches, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 9. It depends on how fast you punch. And with a nice steady punch, it's 7 punches, and then 2 as you exit, or 3 as you exit. Now, it's very important here. Who we just saw up there is Jimmy the Wizard, a contact that we're supposed to make. We can go to him. If we go to him, we have a different checkpoint, and that checkpoint will just destroy our chances of exiting this section completely, because what we really need is to get back to the laser room, die in the laser room again, and use a similar manipulation with the lasers to get out of it. But if we meet Jimmy, our checkpoint changes completely, and we can't do that.
Yes. Also, one thing that's great about this skip is we get back the grenades that we lost from blowing ourselves up, which is really handy because it makes this strat kind of viable. Okay, so we're going to run down here, and immediately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we are out the other side of that room, thank goodness. This stage has the only room that makes me nervous, but it also has that skip, which I know I can do, but it's always a bit touch and go until you get there. But until the end of this stage now, there is not a lot to talk about, so if our lovely donation reader would like to say anything, that would be fine.
Absolutely, thank you. I would like to remind any perhaps new viewers here that ESA Winter 2021 is benefiting Alzheimer Foundation. And one of the many things they do is to enable training for caregivers on the subject of dementia. So it is definitely a great thing that this organization does, and every donation counts towards helping them in their goals. So thank you everyone so far for all we've done up until now, and let's keep going even further.
Yes. My grandmother is currently suffering from early onset dementia, and it's not very fun to see. And not a lot of people really know a lot about how it works or how to help it, so to have wonderful events raising money for wonderful charities who are trying to sort of understand this thing that will sadly affect a lot of us as we grow older is, in my opinion, a very good thing. And I'm also going to take a quick sip during this cutscene. Not sponsored by Monster. So the lights have gone off. Why have the lights gone off? The baddies are aware of what we are trying to do in taking down the Metal Gear. So they're going to do a test fire of the nuke. That requires a lot of power, so all the electricity's gone out. Luckily, Jimmy gives us the thermal goggles we didn't pick up earlier, so that we can actually see where we're going. And I'm now going to get to show off why causing an alert can be a very useful thing. There's also a guard here. Watch how good he is at reacting. Yep. So we're going to throw a stun grenade at this corner here. That will despawn the guard on this grid, meaning that we can just run on by. Unfortunately, I threw it a little bit late, so there was another guard, but it's fine, we didn't get hit. Now, this is a situation where there is a locked door here that we need to get through. So we cause an alert, because we have the keycard to open it, so the game opens it for us. Without us having to menu out our keycard, going up to where we think the door is, going back out, menuing into our thermals, going through the door hoping it's still open. And another example of that is I've tried to keep this alert going for as long as I can for this door. Otherwise, again, fumbling with things or throwing grenades around, and it's just easier to not have to stop.
Or you could do the whole thing blind with just a key card and just feel your way through this level like I do.
It takes a very good runner.
No, it doesn't. I butcher it every time. But here we go. We're gonna hear another codec from Chris Jenner and Jimmy the Wizard. On our way to the second boss, which is Marionette Owl.
A fun fact about Marionette Owl, which isn't really a fun fact at all, but because of the silhouette and having only ever really, well, never actually paying attention to the story of this game, I thought that Marionette Owl was a woman, and then I learned his backstory and realised that that is no, very no. Here's a fun room actually. The strat in this room is hold downwards until you see a box and then hold left. We're doing some skills. I am very glad that cameras cannot see us in the dark, because there are times in this game where if they could, it would basically be unplayable unless you're going for big boss rank, which, as you can probably guess, is not particularly easy. So I'm going to line myself up in a diagonal run to this door, get out my assault rifle and my keycard. And you may be thinking, but Kez, we can't see anything, how will we fight the boss? He puts our goggles back on for us, which is odd. So yes, there's Marionette Owl. Not a lot is known about him other than he was a serial killer that was asked to join the Special Forces and really likes dolls. So the aim of this fight is to shoot the correct doll and not one of the decoys, otherwise they spin out and start throwing lots of knives anywhere, and on harder difficulties they will heal Marionette Owl himself if you shoot them, which is a thing that is obviously not designed in a boss fight. But there it is, done.
You could also get the night vision goggles, but he will throw flashbangs or stun grenades at you, thus making things messier. That way we choose the thermal goggles, we skip the night vision goggles, and it makes the fight a lot easier and faster for us.
Yes. Another interesting fact about the differences between easy and harder difficulties is I've been informed by Plywood, who is the world record holder of pretty much this entire game, that on easy, Marionette Owl is random. On all other difficulties, he is very predictable and easy to follow, which is a very interesting choice on the part of the developers. On easy, Marionette Owl does move slower, but is unpredictable, so it's an interesting fact. Also, do you remember that door puzzle with the buttons and the stuff? Yeah, we don't have to do it this time. If you spend long enough trying to figure out the button combination needed to open those doors, a guard will walk down from the north and just open the doors for you. So this is a minefield. You're gonna crawl in a very strategic way to pick up some mines. There is supposed to be a clicking noise. Unfortunately, because we're getting a call on the codec, we don't hear the clicking noise. So we just have to kind of hope for the best. And now a staple of the series. It's a flying machine. I like to call this stage the half... I've forgotten her name now. I make this joke every run and I can't remember the woman's name. I'm going to call this the half placebo, because we've run up that hill, but we're not yet going to run up the mountain. Kate Bush. So yeah. That helicopter was telling us that they're going to beat us and they have artillery that are firing on our location. So we will have to go backwards through the minefield whilst being fired on by artillery.
Not before a codec call, though.
Ah yes, we will have a codec call with the lovely Mei Ling. I played this game before I played MGS1, and I fell in love with Mei Ling. She is lovely, she is great. Apart from in one special stage for stage 2, where you have to chase her around the entire map for 4 minutes, I thought she was lovely. And then I played MGS1 and I heard her voice, and I was like, I love this character. Yeah, also, there will be a little bit of audience participation from chat in a slightly later stage, so look forward to that. And I missed that mine. That was not because I was talking, that's just because you can be a pixel off, and it will punish you. But now we're going to get a video call back in 2001. from the general of the Gindran Liberation Front, who is the army that is trying to take Gindra back for the people, shortened to the GLHF. I'm not sure if that joke is in poor taste, but it makes me smile. This is the general, and that is Sophia. Sophia is great, her father is French. Remember this for later, there will be a test. And that's them telling us that they've done the test launch, but they did it into a nuclear test site in Nevada to give America deniability, to say that they were just testing a missile so that the world doesn't know that they are currently trying to sort out a situation with what is ostensibly a terrorist group. So before they can fire a real launch, we have to go and blow up their stuff. And their stuff in this instance is a power plant. This stage is a little bit legendary because it is the only real heavy RNG section of the game. There are 8 pillars within this building. Each one has 4 corners. This leads us to a total, I believe, of 32 positions, that is a pillar there, that will have exposed rebar that we will have to blow up in the next stage. But we're going to be making and keeping a mental note of where each one is as we go through this stage, so that it's easier next time round and we can kind of route the most time conservative path back through all of the pillars. And hopefully we will only have to do crawling through vents once.
Yes, because stage 8 and stage 9 are all within this level.
Yes. As I said earlier, with the dev team enjoying reusing the levels and making it feel like a more connected world despite it being stage-based and for the Game Boy Color. So that was a damage boost across those puddles. That only works in this stage, coming in one direction. That will not work in the next stage, and that is annoying if there are any pillars down here. But for now, we're crawling through a vent. So if our lovely donation reader has anything to say, then now would be a wonderful time for it.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Just earlier, we were talking about one of the many things that Alzheimer Foundation does. And one of the other things that they do is to organize projects, camps, and events for youngsters affected in different ways due to parents or other relatives diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So as you can see, there are so many things that Alzheimer Foundation does to support people affected by dementia and other related diseases. So once again, every donation counts, and it's absolutely amazing what we can do when we all unite together to raise so much money for them. And thank you once again.
Yes. So as you saw there were 2 interesting things that happened. I threw a grenade at one of those little generators. A lot of the puddles of water in that room are electrified, and we don't like crawling in this game. It's slow and it takes a long time. So I blew up one of the generators to basically create a path back to the beginning. We also saw one of the exposed pillar sections, which is in the basement, and that is a shame, but it could be worse. So that elevator, as you saw, it had an up button. If you go up, it leads you to a string of horrible puzzles that allow you to pick up the guided missile launcher, or Nikita if you will. But it takes an age and a half. So what we're going to do instead is put down some C4 and blow our legs off, because it seems like a nice thing to do. See if I can get this first try today. Meaning that we don't actually have to pick up the guided rocket launcher until stage 11. And even then, after we pick it up, we will also not use it the first available chance. Because why would we? Like, oh, I got caught on a wall there. So this bit is annoying. We need a guard to shoot us. Luckily, that guy was playing some really nice ball there, so that we can damage boost across that electrified floor, and then we throw a flashbang, knock everybody out, get through lovely, and we have a boss coming up with a man who really likes fire.
And
we
the
don't
reason...
really-
Go
Sorry,
ahead,
carry on.
Kaz. I was just gonna say the reason why we damage boost through that grid floor is because otherwise we'd have to crawl through a whole duct just to blow up a generator, which we don't want to do.
Yes. Crawling in this game is not a lot of fun.
No, and because this game is 21 years old now and it was on the Game Boy Color, your crawling was on your start button, so crawling is not a big thing for us.
So the aim of this boss is to shoot him in the backpack with a frequency and try and get him into some kind of loop. Oh, a little bit too early on that last one. There we go.
But hey, we found a corner, one of the corners we're looking for.
Yes, and that is a very useful thing to know, because there can be pillars in really undesirable places, and there can be pillars in the perfect spot. And knowing where they are means that we can plan a route that gets to all of them the most efficiently. Like, for example, because when we place the final C4 in the next stage, we will get a phone call telling us to leave, and then after a certain amount of time, depending on where you placed the last C4, we will be told that there is not enough time and they need to blow it up now, and we need to get to the exit whilst the building is collapsing around us. So, for example, that pillar right next to the elevator in the first room, that's a fantastic place to put the final explosive, because it means that we can go about the rest of the demolition process without having to worry about the building falling down around us. But it is what it is. This stage can take anywhere between under 2 minutes and 30 to over 7 minutes, depending on what RNG you get. So if anyone watching this thinks that this game looks great and is very good at breaking games, if you can work out how to manipulate the RNG seed of this, I will personally give you a cake. So yeah, that room down there. I don't like going into that room. It is very difficult to go through. We have an exposed pillar down there. Wish me luck.
It's not too bad because we'll pick up some C4 that's on their way there, and maybe that'll help us with Gander, since Gander's first phase will require C4 and Claymores. Or one or the other.
Yes. But for now, we're going to head through this wibbly yellow room, because I don't really know. It's just kind of there. It doesn't do a lot. I've played through this game on higher difficulties, and that room really is just kind of there. And this is the generator that we're supposed to blow up. We're going to be informed that we can't get to it over that really tiny piece of electrified floor, despite how many big pieces of electrified floor we have so far surpassed. So this is where the pillars and the exposed rebar become relevant to gameplay and plot. I appear to have hiccups. So along the way, I'm going to continue searching for the remaining pillars, because it's a good habit to get into with this game, taking an extra couple of seconds to get into the habit of looking everywhere they could possibly be. It may take a couple of seconds off what is possible for world record, but in terms of good habits so that you don't end up wandering around blindly for 3 minutes trying to find the last one, it saves your brain more than it saves the game. But now we're just backtracking, so if anyone has anything that they would like to say, it would be a good time, and if not, another ration, very important.
Well, perhaps I would like to remind everyone that with your donations, not only you are donating towards an amazing charity, being Alzheimer Foundation, but you also have the opportunity to potentially gain prizes. For example, if you give a minimum donation of $25, you may enter the pool to potentially be in the prize pool for a ViewSonic Elite XG270 provided by our sponsor ViewSonic. and that's just one of them. So definitely make sure to check out the prizes page on our website if you want to know more about it. And you know, gaining prizes while donating to charity definitely sounds like an awesome combination. So thank you everyone for donations so far, and let's keep it going.
So we just went through a room that I refer to as the Gauntlet. There are far too many wall-mounted turrets there. We have to blow up a generator to get past an electrified floor. We then have to attempt to get out without being shot too much. I don't like this place, and that's why I really don't like putting C4 in that one room that I pointed out, which I lovingly refer to as Hell Room, and by lovingly I mean not that. So now I'm just searching and keeping an eye open. I believe I have got 2 of the pillars so far.
Yes,
Which
I
is
believe so.
mildly concerning to me because there may be one that I missed, but we'll find out. So here is the cam shots again, because it's quicker than going through the other room with all of the turrets and the electrified floors. And actually, I do know where the last one would be because there's only one more place we haven't seen yet. I am not panicking anymore. But obviously going into the basement for the final pillars in this stage is... it sucks, because we have to make it all the way back through everything we could encounter down here, whilst the stage is falling apart around us, rather than just getting in the lift and having done with it. So that is obviously an exposed pillar bit. Last one, if I'm not mistaken, should be there. Excellent. We got through this. That guy's going to see me, but that's fine, because as soon as I put down this last C4, they will all disappear, or at least our alert will clear. And this is Campbell telling us to get out now, Snake. And they say we're trying, Colonel. But I'm dunny thick. I promised myself I wasn't going to quote that. So around about here, we're going to get a phone call. Campbell and Mei-Ling are going to tell us that there is not enough time. We need to blow now. Bearing in mind, if you get the worst RNG possible, it will be about 2 minutes between placing the last C4 and this cutscene, so I want to know where they got their watches from. And now there is fire, which we will have to navigate. On harder difficulties, this is horrible, because you only need a few pieces of masonry to fall on your head to give you a continue, which means you have to do this entire bit again. I'm going to equip my grenades here because we're coming up to a boss fight and they will be useful. But because we're on easy, we can just loiter around, see the sights. Going to damage boost through this fire here. There is a way to run diagonally between those two, but it's very difficult for me to set up. And through testing, I have found that with me trying to set that up in such a way as to be useful, it loses more time than it gains for me, so I just take the damage boost. We have the health. We'll get healed at the end of the stage anyway, because Game Boy game. And we're going to see somebody now that we haven't seen for a couple of stages. 426 is not bad for that level. But first, codec. Because we need 3 codecs a mission, because this is a Metal Gear game. This is the General telling us that he is unhappy that we have blown up his power plant, because that wasn't the power plant that Gander was taking energy from. We've just knocked out all of the power for the civilians in the area, and we should feel bad. And here is Jimmy. Jimmy managed to escape from captivity. That body on the floor is not Chris Jenner, luckily. Just another Delta Force operative. Delta Force were sent in to help Snake in his mission. Chris Jenner is supposedly a Delta Force operative, despite the fact that at the time this game was released, women were not allowed to serve as Delta Force operatives. She is actually an agent of the CIA, I believe, who has been sent in to retrieve information. Jimmy just blew up, by the way. On Project Babel. which is America's bid to make the world Anglo-centric. But they would rather people not find out about that, so they sent in Chris Jenner to retrieve that for them.
The reason Jimmy blew up, by the way, is because his handcuffs that were provided by Viper, one of the main antagonists of the game, the handcuffs were booby-trapped. And I think also there was a microphone, so that way Viper could listen in to Snake's private conversation with Jenner and also Jimmy within those handcuffs.
Now we have some very helpful F-14, 15 jets blowing up this artillery for us, which means we can finally achieve full placebo. And I will keep making that joke. Try and stop me. As you can see, as the missiles blow up the things, there are many collectibles along this way, chief among which we are interested in are grenades. Grenades are a currency in this game. Also, minefield again. I hope you didn't get too sad that we missed it. That's ammo for the Nikita, which we don't have because we're good gamers. I can't say that with a straight face. I am not a very good gamer, I am just passionate about the games I enjoy. Pick up that ration whilst we're here, because I'm actually going to equip that, because that would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's good to have rations if you want to be able to do things with confidence, especially when you're starting out in this game. I would not do anything unless I was at maximum ration capacity, just out of fear of messing up. Final pack of grenades here, and now we're gonna, like I say, staple of the Metal Gear franchise, blow up a flying machine that we just saw Chris Jenner get into, or did we? So the idea behind this fight is we throw a grenade at it, its iframes last for about 2 seconds, and we throw another grenade. It has a variety of attacks, including strafe shooting with its machine gun and firing rockets at us. Obviously getting hit by a rocket is less than ideal because it knocks us over, but we have enough health in this difficulty that it does not matter. And it can, like that, move to one of the sides where there is just a timing to throw grenades to coincide with the helicopter. There are faster strats available, but I don't feel comfortable with them. And that is the end of that boss fight. We have made our deal with God, and we got him to swap our places.
It was a good fight because the Havoc helicopter, the Hind D for this game, didn't cross sides, and that's what you don't want because it takes a while. It'll start bombing you. This was a very good boss fight. We got him face front, and then we got one side, which is perfect.
And now we have an interesting cutscene with a fun fact. When this game changes music, it will hang on the last text box that was on screen. This happens throughout the game, but when we're talking to Sophia, it hangs on a text box that says, "My father was French." And for some reason, the first time I caught that on the English version, it made me laugh so hard. So I would invite all of chat on this interactive stream to remind chat that my father was French. Also, we stole her gun. Because Gindra, another fun fact for you, fun fact fans, was first colonised outside of African people by the French. Which is why her father was French. So there is a fun fact for you. And now we're heading into the final area of the game, would you believe it? We're around about 20 minutes from the end. It's been a long journey getting from there to here. Shout out to all of my Star Trek friends. And yeah, we are gonna... This is the longest level in the game, purely because of the sheer size of this map. One of my friends is mad and decided that they wanted to map this game for VGM, which is a website I'm sure a lot of people are very familiar with. And the sheer size of this level left both of us in awe. And the fact that it is on a Game Boy Color. And finally, the Nikita rocket launcher. The long-fabled weapon that we should have used many stages ago. And we're still not going to use it yet. Because why would we? Instead, we're going to damage boost along here. Do another damage boost. Stand up, plant some C4, run along a bit, blow up some C4, and then damage boost some more. And finally, we get to a point where we will start playing the game as intended. Also, this level is so big, there are 2 keycards on this level. So far, we have had an average of half a keycard a level, so pretty good going, I feel. But for the next couple of minutes, we have nothing major going on. So if there is anything that our lovely announcer would like to say, now would be a wonderful time.
Absolutely, thank you so much. I would like to remind everyone that at ESA Winter 2021 we've got quite a few bid wars and incentives coming up. For instance, we've got the Telconcerto Resaca Boss Softlock coming up for the, I wonder, Telconcerto run coming up. We've also got the character name bid war for the Outer Worlds, as well as the save file name choice for Fallout 3, the OST choice from Mega Man Atari Remake. There are so many things you can put your donations towards, and you can check what they are on the ESA website. So definitely you can get those donations in for that. And thank you everyone for donating towards an amazing cause.
Yes. Thank you all for supporting this event and these lovely people and the lovely charities. You're all great. So, I told you that this was built on the remains of Outer Heaven. This is a 50-floor elevator ride. I'm going to have a sip of my drink. Luckily, I don't know if it is lucky or not, but luckily, after the first 10 floors or so, the lift actually speeds up until it gets to floor 41, and then it starts slowing down again, so you don't actually have to wait for 50 of this game's elevator movements. Also, I'm going to quickly equip my C4 because I will need it. Now, this room is a minefield. I apologise to everyone that's ever heard this joke. This room is a minefield. This guard here is very kindly and thankfully showing us the route through this minefield so that we don't get blown up along the way. I'm going to need you all to remember exactly his movements, what he's doing, how he's doing it, where he's going, because we're going to need to copy it exactly to get through. Okay? Have you all remembered that? Here's what I think he did. Flawless. Got it perfectly. Well done. I love little things like that in video games. Like little things where you can just ignore what the game wants you to do, and they kind of are prepared for that. Now, this room. This is another room where if we break the lasers, it will release poison gas and lock the doors. I could have gone, you may be thinking, as soon as I went in, there were lasers on the way to our goal that were off. The reason why I didn't go there is because in that room specifically, if you don't see the lasers turn off, assume they're going to turn back on again. Because the number of times I've had a PB pace ruined by getting overconfident, running through what looked like a clear space, and then the laser turning on my elbow, it's not a lot of fun. Also, this area is in complete pitch darkness. How do you know which walls to blow up? You're supposed to go round and tap on every single, back up against every single wall and press A to tap on them to hear if they sound a little bit more hollow than the rest, whilst you have alerts going off.
Even though this game only has 2 face buttons and a start and select, you can knock on walls. You can also peek a little bit to your left, to your right, to your north, to your south, whatever it could be. So they do a lot with just these 2 buttons, and knocking is something that is used quite a bit on these runs, especially in higher difficulties.
If anybody from Konami is watching, I need a sequel to this game made as though it's for the Game Boy Advance. Like, you can leave everything almost exactly the same, just 2 more buttons so that we don't have to do all of this weird menuing in the same... Ah, I nearly went for that, didn't I? So we don't have to do all this weird menuing with a single button and then the directionals. So I genuinely love this game. I would say that this game is my favourite Metal Gear game. The first one I played was 5. It was great, don't get me wrong. It's not a Metal Gear game. I'm joking, please don't axe me.
All the opinions you hear are Kaz's, they're not of mine or ESA's. Thank you.
The opinions expressed in this speedrun. Yeah. But no, Metal Gear Solid 5 is a very fun game. But then I played this because I played Metal Gear Solid 5 and I had a craving for more. So I sought out any speedruns I can find, and I saw Plywood, who was supposed to be doing commentary for us today. Unfortunately, his schedule got changed around at the last minute and he was unable to be here, and that is a shame. But I saw him playing this game and I just fell in love. I immediately downloaded it, immediately tried to do some casual playthroughs, found out that I couldn't. I was not good enough, even on easy, to get past the first 2 stages, and then gave up and learned the speedrun. And the speedrun is very fun. The story is great. The sheer amount of content is amazing. Some of the mechanics that they managed to cram into this are mind-blowing. And this elevator ride is 48 floors deep. And as this run probably is not going to PB, as I say, we go by in-game timer. I know roughly how long each stage should take, and we've had some time losses that are not conducive to that. I'm going to go about 10 seconds out of our way to show you a neat little Easter egg that is within this game that I feel Metal Gear fans may find very interesting. And I think is a neat little callback, considering Metal Gear 1 has 3 sequels, which is odd for a game. And there's obviously Metal Gear 2.
Solid Snake.
Solid Snake, yep. There's Snake's Revenge. We're not sure who or what Snake is getting revenge against. And then there's this. Why did I pause outside of the elevator? I am very good at this game. I have 2nd place. Yeah, it's odd that one game that was pretty overlooked at the time has so many sequels that aren't at all connected. But we are in Outer Heaven. These are the remains of the Metal Gear whose name I forgot that Bad Humans will be able to remind me of.
I believe 2X55. Sorry, just had to throw it in there quickly.
Yeah, that's from the original Metal Gear, so they put continuity into this game despite knowing that it was a different timeline and they didn't have to. And if you talk to the Colonel on the codec whilst you're in there, he's like, Snake, it's the Metal Gear from 7 years ago. And you're like, oh, very good.
Yes, that's his expression. Oh!
Do we fancy a boss fight? I fancy a boss fight. This is the final member of the Black Chamber that we get to fight. Spoiler warning, there are 5 members. 5. I don't know, my game is in front of my camera feed, so I don't actually know what I look like. There are 5 members of Black Chamber, 4 of whom are in Gindra, 1 of whom is in our support team. And it's not the one called Weasel. So this is the last member of the Black Chamber that we will have to fight. He has Chris Jenner hostage. This fight works completely backwards to how we are taught fights like this work. When the white lines are on the floor, everything is safe. When they disappear, that's when they are dangerous. So he's going to run from corner to corner, laying these booby traps, and we're just going to follow him as fast and as best as we can, and shoot him when we get there, then turn around. We can crawl under the tripwires, which saves us a lot of time, and fastest way from A to B is a straight line, so we just run diagonally between all these bollards, and hope that we get there before he decides to move on with his life. And if we run into the things like that, he will just stop in place and give us a free hit, which is nice. And that is the end of that boss fight. He did not put up a lot of resistance. That was a pretty solid stage 11. And now it is boss fights as far as the eye can see. As you saw on the elevator right down here, as we have mentioned many times, the Metal Gear Gander, who is the best Metal Gear in the Omniverse. In my opinion, I love the design of this thing. We're going to fight that now. We're going to blow up its feet, and then we're going to blow up its weapons. Luckily, the game gives us a chance to stock up on supplies for this before we get there. So for the next minute or so, I am just going to be running around picking up nondescript boxes. So if our lovely announcer / donation reader / lovely person has anything that they would like to share, now would be a wonderful time for that.
Well, thank you so much. Well, perhaps I would like to remind everyone that we're currently sitting at 29.6k total donations. And for ESA Winter 2019, the total was 30k, and specifically 30.076. So it means we will soon be surpassing that amount, and it will be absolutely amazing if we manage to surpass that Winter 2019 amount. I know we can do it, so let's go everyone.
Finally, an amount to surpass last year.
Oh!
I caught myself off guard with that one. There's a frame that, as I was saying with text boxes sticking, here's Gander by the way. As I was saying with text boxes sticking as music tracks change, earlier on in the game, on the English version, there is a bit where Chris Jenner says pretty near, and that makes me laugh a lot. Because it just works. And then when Snake would say, almost here. And it just, little things like that just tickle me. Okay, so this is legs. I want C4. This is going to go by quite quickly. We're going to run vaguely towards the bottom of the screen. The foot will come down vaguely over us. We will plant a C4 vaguely underneath the foot, and then blow it up within proximity, we hope, so as to cause damage. If all things go well and perfect, it only takes 6 C4 satchels. There is ways of doing this faster, but this is the way that I am the most comfortable and consistent with. And that is legs done. And now we get to a real fight, which the game helpfully shows us what to aim for, which is interesting. Someone will say, is it over? And we'll say, not yet. And then Gander. So, we need to hit these things that are nicely circled like a YouTube thumbnail. These things, and these things. We're going to do that with grenades and the Nikita rocket launcher, which is why we have been picking up as many grenades and Nikita rounds as we can. The method that I use for this fight is after the first cycle. Is I throw a grenade, wait for the explosion to dissipate, throw another grenade, immediately switch to my Nikita and then launch it at the shoulder cannon so that I can actually damage it before it has chance to fully emerge from the shoulder. The upshot of this is the missile pack on the back of Gander will not actually have chance to fire off until it is the only threat left on screen. A fun thing... too late there. A fun thing about this fight is on harder difficulties. There will be unmanned aerial vehicles flying around you in order to... not doing this very well, am I? In order to shoot you remotely and randomly as they move around the arena. But on easy, we don't have to deal with any of that particular nonsense, and if we did, I would probably quit. I'm joking out of this game. I would play it if the boss made you do the fight on 1 HP. So there's a missile pack, as I said. On this first time, we can't damage it. So all we can do is just run up and down, try not to get hit. So we're going to start seeing the missile pack open a little bit more frequently now. And we're going to stand just here, maneuver our guided missiles into it, and then run so that we don't get hit by its missiles. And fail. Fail miserably. Spectacularly, depending on your outlook on life. We should only have to do this once more after this, and we'll move on to the final stage of Gander, which is the mouth-looking thing that is actually a flamethrower and between the legs. I'm not sure quite why they decided to go for that design, but they did. It is entirely possible to get 2 grenades into the mouth per opening, so we're going to try and do that because we can, so we will. And it relies on not getting hit by the flames too soon. And that is... oh, he had less than a pixel of health left. Anyway, that's Gander done. But wait, there's more. As we have been following the story of Metal Gear Gander and the Ghost Babel saga and beautiful Delta Force operatives and Snake, the General has been defeated. He willingly gives up the disk containing all the information for Project Babel. But Black Ops Viper is not dead yet. We have disabled the weapons on Gander, but heavy weaponry is never what Gander was about. It has an ability to uplink with every satellite orbiting the Earth, every one of them, including ones that control planetary weapons. All Black Ops Viper needs to do is move this cargo platform we are on to ground level to establish an uplink. So we are now going to have to try and stop him before that happens. We will do this by standing in a position where we can see a couple of his known spawn points, and then run to the other side of the screen and try to shoot him before he blows pixie dust at us. We have 1.5 minutes to do this. And then time will be coming up shortly, actually. As soon as the final results screen comes up, it will be time. So I will take this opportunity to say thank you to Bad Humans for the commentary and being here and being supportive and great. Thank you to the Metal Gear Speedrunners community. If you want to learn any of the runs you've seen at this event, MGSR is a great place to get resources. And I would like to thank Pickastroff, if I'm reading that correctly, for reading our donations and doing announcements during this run. So this is what I need. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say it's been a pleasure and thank you.
So as you can see here, we're trying to keep as much of about half of the screen on screen as possible when he disappears, because he will never spawn where you can see him, meaning that we can sort of manipulate where he's going to be, so we don't have to randomly hunt around this entire stage for him. I say he never spawns where you can see him. I did once have him spawn where I could see him, and it confused me so much I ended up with I think it was a 3-minute time loss on this stage. I'm not even sure how that's possible, but... And that, my friends, is time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, first off, Well, thank you for the lovely words you had earlier. Just first off, means a lot. So thank you very much for that. Do you have any last words you'd like to say before we move on?
I'd like to thank everybody that's supported me along the way through learning this game and through my first speedrunning event. I've been very nervous, as a lot of my friends know, and I'd like to thank ESA for the opportunity to be here and run and help raise money, and I'd like to thank Zebu for her donation earlier, and yeah, just thanks in general, really.
Alright, thank you so much. Well, right now, after this run, we'll be going into a short intermission, but definitely stick around, because we'll be having Tel Concerto Any Percent by Rammstein, so definitely stick around for that. And do remember that we will be having an incentive for this particular run, which is the Boss Softlock. We're getting nearer and nearer the close-off for this one, so if you want to get that done, definitely now is the perfect time to get your donations in for that. In any case, this also is the end for me, as I will be passing over the donation reading duties to the one and only Zoneris. So everyone, enjoy ESA Winter 2021, and we'll be seeing you after a short intermission.